the attitude of authority, trust us, we're the professionals, but you're not, because, you're spending almost $1 billion and you have 5% proficiency rate in 10th grade, like, you're not, clearly things are not going well. Right? Sorry.
But the school choice thing too, from what I've heard, for those who oppose it, are indicating that it would take, the dollar away from the public school system.
Right,
Because that funding, at the state level would go to the charter school or to
Right.
whatever the school choice was. Okay, so if
Yeah,
somebody
that's
started a school and they applied for funding,
Right.
that kind of thing. But what they don't, and then my counter to that is, well, if you have less kids, you need less money.
Right.
So in the
Goes
public
with the
school
kids.
system, if there are less
But
kids,
that's
then
not
you don't
the
need
case.
the money.
They're
But they
all private.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they
They're
don't
all
want to
over
hear that.
capacity. So they're actually not able to accommodate the students that they have because they have too many students. So a
They have
charter
capacity
school
issues, yeah.
is
Yeah.
actually a favor. Because
Right.
I remember when we went to charter school, you guys were getting way less money than a
Yeah.
public school student.
66%.
Because we didn't have public transportation.
Right, right.
So our per capita would get less
Yeah.
than a public school student would get. Plus, we had to pay for the rent of the building.
Right.
Which is $1,500 per kid.
And the charter schools do not get construction dollars.
Correct.
Right,
Yeah.
so
We
then-
could, if we're Anne Arundel County and the county council gave you some, which they actually did,
Right,
but
right.
you don't get it from the state.
Right, you don't get
The
it.
county
And every
should.
school in this county, with the exception of Middletown and Canton in high school, are all above capacity because 102, 106, 112%.
Also, the
Some of
thinking that
that's
they're all our
really
kids.
Right.
Like, every single child in this county is a child that we are effectively responsible for. So it's not taking money away from anyone, it's giving it to the kid.
Right.
Right, I know, it's just moving it
It's
to
like-
another.
Yeah, and the other counter I would
Yeah.
offer is,
I mean, that's
so-
why I said it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
because-
that's what they say.
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple counters. One is, so you're admitting that if parents had a choice, they would leave.
Right.
Because that's always the thing. It's like, we can't have vouchers. Why? Well, it take money from the public school. It doesn't have to take a single dollar if every kid stays.
Yeah.
But they know the parents are itching to get out, right?
Right.
So that's why they're not gonna do it.
Right.
And they don't wanna admit that, but that's why. And then what happens if the parents go to these non-unionized private and charter schools, at least in
It
Maryland,
worked
they're
out
unionized?
really great during COVID. Private schools were everybody's favorite.
Oh, they still are. My wife is like,
Didn't that
gets
work
calls
out
every day.
great when everybody was following whatever the government was saying? And the
Yeah.
public school said, the private school said, you know what? Let us do our thing.
Yeah.
We're not going to do this XYZ. We don't need vaccination. We don't need masks. We will keep kids together. And guess what? It worked out. My kids had no masks. They were able to
Oh,
interact.
yeah. They love it.
Yeah, so it worked out great, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think private schools I'll get to this, are the solution. The other counter I would offer too, which is a very important point, voucher programs, you could offer all 19,000, but typically a voucher program would offer about half, right?
Yeah.
So what would happen is you'd say, okay, so think about that. Oh, the money's gonna go away. Actually, if you give half the money, just half, and you retain the rest, that means if every kid in the entire school system left, you have $450 million and no students.
Wow.
And every time a kid leaves, you have increased the per pupil allocation. Right? Because think if
Yeah.
every kid left by one, you got 450 million left and one kid, they could have a tutor in every subject, right? So actually, if you do a voucher where you don't offer the full amount, anything less than the full amount, you're actually increasing the per pupil allocation. And you're having these kids, you're having less of a burden. Like I always tell kids, why would you not want vouchers as an educational administrator? Make those kids somebody else's problem, right? You mean I don't have to deal with the overcrowding and all this stuff, like,
Yeah.
and the parents that are really upset because it violates their religious values, and they'll just go to the school that has their religious values if you want. Like it solves so many problems, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And again, it's helping you. And studies also show that, and this is the other thing, I have more faith in public schools than they do. Because I know that they can compete with the private schools if we had a voucher program. Because if you look at all the places that have done voucher programs, guess what happens? Everybody gets better. The public school kids, their achievement goes up, and the private school kids go up. because they're competing with each other. They have to do well, right? So that's what actually, so on every level, that argument doesn't make sense, right? You can increase the per pupil funding for the public schools and make the public schools better through vouchers. It's a great, and it doesn't require any like changing of your instructional philosophy or
that will
whatever.
ever
Stick with
happen?
whatever you're doing.
Stick with whatever you're
This will
doing,
ever
but the
happen?
competition is gonna cause some changes.
You don't think this will ever happen?
Not in Maryland.
Not under the current administration in Maryland, no.
Yeah, it will happen eventually out of necessity, because
Yeah.
you have a
Well, like you
5%
said, it's
proficiency
gonna be-
rate, you have no solutions.
Yeah,
It's not gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna end up with vouchers, because enough parents will eventually get fed up, and they will elect people that support vouchers, just like 15 states now do this.
I would have thought after COVID, somebody would have for sure done that.
Well, it
That was-
accelerated after COVID.
It had to.
The vouchers did, yeah.
Of course.
Because the parents saw what the schools were actually doing.
Right.
And they're like, I'm sorry, you're teaching my kids about inappropriate
Okay,
sex
all
things,
these taxes.
and you can't teach them math, like, this makes no sense,
Yeah.
right? All right, so types of, go over this, so just to be comprehensive, types of schools, types of school choice. Charter schools, you guys all know, I started one, along with Ann and a bunch of other people, and Anna. Vouchers, tax credits, homeschools, and ESAs. So ESAs are actually started by a bunch of, two liberal law professors in California, and they work like food stamps. You can take them and not, and spend them anywhere. You can spend them on materials, tutor lessons, or use them for your tuition, right? So they're more flexible.
I like that, because if you have an instrumentally or artistically or athletically inclined child, you can promote exactly that.
Exactly what they want.
Yeah.
Or a voucher is just a coupon from the government that goes to school, you pay your tuition, but that's it, right? And sometimes they'll cover
I would have
books.
taken half of the 19,000.
Yeah.
The voucher for the tuition I
Yeah.
paid at the.
Oh, yeah.
Christian
Well, that
private
would solve the problem. You need, seriously, for most kids, at the elementary level, most of the schools are not charging more than that. And, you know, the difference is maybe $1,000 in some schools,
I
right?
mean,
So
the half of
it's affordable.
19 is exactly what the private schools are charging.
Right,
For-
right.
if you-
For most of them,
Yeah.
yeah. There's a couple, I think they're a little higher, but most of them are right.
That
on
would have
there.
been perfect.
Yeah,
They're right on target, except, you
Yeah.
know, and then it's fine, because we do the transportation, we do
yeah, we take care of all that for them.
the meals, you know, we
Yeah, I
do.
totally agree. And then tax credits, you know, claim a deduction after the fact. So these are all options. I really think ESAs are kind of the wave of the future. It's that or vouchers, either one I'm fine with. Really fine with all of it, but I think ESAs just offer you more flexibility, which I really like. And then the other cool thing is you can use it as an investment. So that is you get $9,500, right, per kid per year deposited into your ESA, right? And then if you don't spend that money, you can apply it to college tuition. It's like it becomes part of your college savings plan. So it's a great program for everybody.
I mean, that money is allocated and already planned for anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it would reduce the capital improvement budget too.
Yeah, because you don't need as many buildings.
Right.
It's a great solution. It's just the politics get in the way, you know?
Yeah.
All right, and then Everform ranks us the sixth worst in the nation for charter school laws, and we're the worst for the national lens, and that's based on a bunch of things. But basically, we have a fake charter school. We don't get to opt. The whole point of a charter school is that you get to hire your staff. They become employees of the nonprofit that you started, and then you decide how you're going to arrange them. You know, what their salaries are, etc. If you want to like have a career ladder, whatever you want to do, and then you control the school. Like you get to decide what goes on. That's not how it works here.
No,
So,
you don't get to decide anything about the teachers.
yeah, no, they are assigned to you.
You're at their mercy.
You're at the mercy of the Frederick County Public Schools. We are the only place in the nation that runs charter schools in this weird way that Frederick County does. Or the whole of Maryland does. And then here's the ironic thing is, okay, so the whole point is the Board of Education will approve a charter and like, yep, go do your thing and we'll evaluate you in 3 ways. We'll make sure you're financially sound, academically sound, and then your building's okay.
You have to
Those are your
provide
three.
all that, like,
Yeah.
God forbid the teachers provide the fact that they're teaching classical curriculum.
Well, yeah, we can get into that too. It's like we've had teachers at Frederick Classical that just decided they weren't going to do that. Same thing happened at Montessori. It's like they actually had a principal at the Montessori charter school that early on, in one of the early years, said, yeah, so I'm a Frederick County Public School employee, and that whole Montessori thing you want to do, that's your problem. It's like when we hired you to be the principal to run this school to do Montessori, they didn't care, right? So that's how it is. Classical school, same thing. So we need to have the autonomy to actually, hire and fire our staff, because if you tell me I'm not gonna do my job, I'm sorry, I'm gonna fire you, you're not the right person for this, but we have no right to do that. And then here's the irony, the idea is you go and you do an application as a charter school applicant, you talk to the Board of Education, they approve you based on the strength of your application. Then you go off and do your thing independently, and you come back every 4 or 5 years, and they say, how are you doing? They have the test scores and everything, your financial condition, and they evaluate you and decide if the school gets to go on. Here's the thing, that's an evaluation of the people running the charter school. That's how it works everywhere else. But that's not how it works in Maryland. The Board of Education, or whoever they designate, actually runs the charter school. So it's FCPS employees running the charter school. The Board of the Board of Trustees, the parents that started the school, have no say. And then their charter, their contract with the school board is based on the school system's own employees' performance running that school, often against the will of the parents who are saying, no, don't do that, don't put that curriculum in. No, that's a bad decision, and they have no say.
And then the unions back up whenever the teachers aren't happy.
Yeah, and then the union complains whenever, yes. Yeah, and it's like, why do they have this school? Because the whole point is that you're gonna evaluate us, you're evaluating yourselves. Like Frederick County Public Schools is evaluating their own ability
Why would you
to operate the
apply
charter.
for that job?
Yeah, I mean, it's terrible. All right, voucher program, 10 million statewide. We're about to spend like, what, 30 billion or something over the next couple decades? And very few students, the poorest of the poor students are the ones that would benefit from this, and the teachers union oppose it. You're talking about kids that are like single family, down and out, Baltimore City, horrible situations, and the teachers union said that it was too expensive. Are you kidding me? Like, it's just, I can't believe it. They actually argued against this, saying this is not something we could afford. And again, it's all political, right? It has nothing to do with the actual 10 million. I mean, that's like two charter schools, 3 charter, I mean, it's not even like a regular public school.
Somebody needs to sue